Basic differentiation of trig functions. This is a really basic video on finding derivatives, and what we're going to do in this with this particular problem is that we're going to have a number of rules happening at the same time. So let's just start off, I guess. Find the derivative of y equals 2x cosine x minus 2 sine x. I want to remind you all that this 2x cannot be multiplied with this x to get 2x cosine or cosine 2x or anything like that. This is its own argument here, and this is its own argument here. So I guess the way I would start this is I recognize, I think, that what we have is a couple of problems here. We have this function right here, and this function I think is a product rule function, and then we have this function over here. So if you don't mind, I think what I'd like to do is do this in parts. So I'm going to always start by making a list here. And I'm going to take, I'm going to use the product rule, so f of x is equal to 2x, isn't it? Because this is actually, right, 2x times cosine x, isn't it? So here's our two functions, cosine x here, right? So I'm going to use the product rule, and if you remember, the product rule is that f, just want to do it the same way the book shows. It doesn't matter what order you do this in at all, but f of x g prime at x, right, plus g of x f prime at x. So I'm going to take this rule, this product rule, and I'm going to apply it to this part right here. So that's what I'm doing. So here's my g. So I need an f of x, I need an f prime at x, I need a g of x, I need a g prime at x. So here's we have our f of x. So let's get our f prime at x, and of course f prime at x, the first derivative of this line is just 2, isn't it? And then it says that we need g of x. So g of x is this, so g of x is equal to cosine x, isn't it? And g prime at x is equal to the opposite of sine of x. Now there are calculus proofs of this rule, and it's no problem. You can look at that, or you can write to me and I'll gladly prove this out, but you should have, I guess my bigger point to you is this should be memorized. And then from here, we're just going to FITB, fill in the blanks. So f of x is 2x, isn't it? It says times g prime at x. G prime at x is opposite sine x, right? Plus g of x, which is cosine x, right? Times f prime at x, which is just 2, isn't it? Just 2. Right? So that gets us, this piece is done here, isn't it? Okay. This negative sign is, right? This negative 2 is this negative 2. This is the constant multiple rule. And we know that the first derivative of sine x is cosine x. So, whoops. Cosine x, right? And this is our y prime. And of course, 2x times negative sine x is negative 2x sine x, isn't it? 2 times cosine x is 2 cosine x. Negative 2 times cosine x is negative 2 cosine x, isn't it? Alright? And from here, these two things cancel. We have 2 cosine x here, negative 2 cosine x here. So we can say with some certainty that y prime is equal to negative 2x sine x. I just want to show you, if you don't mind, just to diagram this a little bit really quickly, where I got all this crap. I'm using this rule right here. Right? So this f of x goes to there, doesn't it? Well, it says f of x, so all I'm doing literally is filling in the blanks. I'm just plugging it in. That's why this building of lists is so important. And it says here that this should be g prime of x straight down from here. Well, g prime of x is this thing right here, so I'm just going to put it into here, right? Then it says that we should take g of x, and g of x is cosine x. That's how that got here, right? And it says multiply that, right? That's there. And then it says put f prime at x there. Well, we took our derivatives by making our list, and that's this piece right here, isn't it? And then finally, we differentiated this. And the thing that I guess I didn't write down, which is that d dx sine x is equal to cosine x. So I'm just saying that's where this came from. This came from there. And of course, this negative 2 right here is this negative 2, constant multiplier. Okay, this has gotten a little bit convoluted looking, but that is a diagram of what we did. All right? So keep working on this. Remember, decide which rule you're going to use. So here we had product rule. Here we had sum and difference rule. We had constant multiple here. When I found that we were going to use a product rule, I wrote down what the product rule was to remind myself. I built a list of the parts that I was going to need. And then from my list of parts, I filled in the blanks, right? And that's how all this was built out. Then I simplified at the end. Okay, you guys? Good work. Good work. Good work.